Hi everyone, my name is Claire Sanherho, and this is my week two discussion board about Karl Marx and Max Weber. So currently I'm on vacation with my family in Texas, so I based it on a little fast food chain restaurant that they have here that's called Whataburger. The participants in my observation was the general manager, a shift lead, and just general entry-level employees. The environment, what I observed, a general manager was coming into the store right away. He was informing the employees how the establishment should be presented to the customers. He was telling them to clean the lobby just because there were a few other customers inside that have, dropped food on the floor. Um, they had like some type of sale going on, so they had to do like display the reusable cups available, and and then he was telling them to make sure that all the food that was out, like the drinks, had to be replaced because if it was getting old, you can't technically serve older food, older drinks, FIFO, first in, first out. Um, so first I did Karl Marx and his um alienation. I have a definition of alienation, the breakdown and separation from the natural interconnection between people and their productive activities, such as people and the people they work with, people and their coworkers, people and their ability to work. A quote or a sentence I took from the textbook was people are inherently social and left to their own devices would choose to work collaboratively and cooperatively to produce what they need to live. However, under capitalism, the workers, even when surrounded by many other people, perform their tasks alone and repetitively. The example I have given that correlates with the alienation is the general manager sorry, the general manager came into the establishment and started telling the employees how to properly present the store and fix the problems they had quickly. Like he came in, didn't even say hi, it was just like, hey, the store's a mess, we need to do this and that. So he's kind of separating them from each other because they were in a group. And it was like, hey, why is there no one up front? Why is there no one back here? Like we need to get the ball rolling. We can't just be slacking. The second one I did was exploitation. Exploitation is the nature of relationship between capitalists and workers in the capitalism. A quote I did use was the workers think they are getting a fair day's pay. The capitalists think that they are being rewarded not because of their exploitation of the workers, but for their cleverness, the capital investment, their manipulation of the marker, and so on. The example I had was something I found interesting was the minimum wage in Texas is lower than it is in California at 7.25 compared to fast food workers in California earning $20 an hour. I'm not quite sure if that's exactly true just because I don't live here, you know. So I'm not for sure if fast food workers do get paid more than 7.25. It is cheaper to live out here, so probably that is why the minimum wage is lower because, compared to California, it's very expensive to live at. Um, And then compared to the work that they have to do, you would expect for them to be paid more compared to like how we were getting paid 20. They should get paid a little bit more because they have to deal with the customers. They have to serve food, clean the kitchen, clean the restrooms, clean the lobby, take guests, have to deal with rude guests, have to deal with anything that comes their way. And sometimes it's very overwhelming. I have worked in fast food since I've started working, so it's been quite a while. And I understand like, oh, sometimes you work so hard, you get paid so little, and it's not fair for the amount of work that you are doing. Then I have Marx Weber on rationality, uh, specifically substantive rationality, type of rationality in which the choice of the most expedient action is guided by larger values rather than by daily experiences and practical thinking. A quote I have is here the choice of the most expedient thing to do is guided by larger values rather than by daily experience and practical thinking. And the example I have is one of the new employees was being trained at the time we went. And the shift lead was telling him, hey, like this is how you properly take the orders, how you properly greet guests, and this is how you properly serve the guests. Because when you are dining in, they do bring the food out to you, and then they also bring out like a little tray of like extra condiments, napkins, straws for all that. And I had said like his actions were being guided in a way of larger values because he understood that once you provide good customer service, the customers will want to come back and experience the same thing, which is always good for big corporations. So, how if you get served really well, you get treated really well at an establishment that is very well known, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna keep coming back to different establishments just to have the same experience because once you get one bad experience, you're not gonna want to come back. I've had this for myself being a fast food worker where it's like, customers always get upset and they're like, I'm never coming back. But, they always come back in the end just because they want to. They always say they won't, but they do. And then I have authority and bureaucracy, specifically rational legal authority, the type of authority in which the legitimacy of leaders is derived, oops, sorry, supposed to derived from codified rules and regulations. And then bureaucracy is a modern type of organization in which the behaviors of officers is bound by the laws. A quote I have is bureaucracy was so important to Weber that for him it was the heart of the rational legal authority as well as the model for the realization process in the West. And then I have under rational legal authority, the legitimacy of leaders come from the codified rules and regulations. Leaders hold their positions as a result of those rules. Example that I had was the general manager probably did earn his way up in order to get to the position level that he is at currently due to like the hierarchy of the working class individuals who start from the bottom and go all the way top. Or sometimes, they'll be like, "Hey, you know what? You make a good general manager, so we'll do that." But compared to someone who probably like they're starting as an entry level and then they work up to be a shift lead, a trainer, something above a trainer, and then they become being like assistant manager even or a general manager, or they have to work their way up. He was probably given the position the minute he stepped foot into. Oh, probably given the position. Oh, and I also said he was probably given the position because you can tell like his presence the minute he stepped foot into the restaurant. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's here. We have to like make sure we're on top of our game. We can't be caught like not doing anything. We have to make sure we're on it because he could write you up for doing something you're not supposed to be doing. If we're just like, standing there not doing anything, he's gonna be like, hey, you know what they always say? If you got time to lean, you have time to clean. So that's probably why he was like, we gotta get everything into high gear. And in terms of bureaucracy, there is a system that is in place on how people move up in their jobs. And I was able to see that based on different types of employees there and how they're taking orders from such. The new employee is getting taught by a trainer who's probably a shift lead. That shift lead was probably once a beginning employee too and work their way up to become the shift lead that they are. And that shift lead is listening to the manager who tells them, hey, you are going to train this person because they're brand new and they need to learn the correct and proper ways in order to be very successful in their job. They're also very young kids who are, they need to learn. Sorry, they're also very young, so they're impressionable. They have to be taught a certain way in order to become a better employee. So in conclusion, I have Marx exploits the workers because of their willingness to work and earn money. Alienation amongst the workers because of the power dynamic between an entry-level employee and someone higher up. They separate from each other. The working class or the proletariat has class consciousness between themselves and the capitalists. Like the proletariat, or the working class, they know that hey, we're not currently right now. We are where we're at, and we understand there are bigger, higher up people who are in charge of us and in charge of the economy. So we have to separate ourselves from that and always be aware of it. However, formal rationality is rules and regulations and laws people follow in order for society to function in the West. So we have to follow the rules. Do anything out of line. Some establishments have a three strikes rule. Hey, you do things wrong three times. First time, fine, off the hook. Second time, hey, you're getting a warning. Third time, hey, you know what? You didn't learn from the past two. It's time to let you go because you obviously did not follow the rules that we have in order for you to become an successful employee for ourselves. Rational legal authority is a cage according to Weber and needs to be followed in order for society to thrive because of the rules and structure. Again, there is a cage, sorry, according to Weber, there is a cage like rational legal authority because once you're in a cage, you have to, it's just the hold it has in society. We're kind of trapped somewhere and we need to break free from it, but you have to follow the rules and regulations in order to do so, or you're just going to go stay in the cage and it's not going to be great. So, yeah, that is all I have for you. My last page is the references, and I just referenced the textbook that we have to use for class. And thank you so much for listening. and have a good rest of your week.